Hey everyone, welcome to this week's Facebook Live. I am so excited to be here today and welcome again. If you are here live with me, welcome. Please come in, say hello. Where are you hanging out from? Are you, which country, which place? I am here in Bangkok, Thailand, and I'm in my home. So welcome to all of you who are joining me live, and if you are joining me on replay or on my YouTube or on my, website, welcome. Please do come in and say hello. Hi, Deborah. So nice to have you here. Thank you for joining live. And the topic today is something that I feel really deeply connected with. It's divine disconnect and chronic pain, and using spirituality in managing chronic pain. So welcome. If you are brand new here, I'm a physical and emotional pain relief expert. So what I do is I help people who are feeling stuck in pain feel relief quickly so that they can get on with their lives feeling peace and clarity and more joy and happiness and magic. And today, the topic is divine disconnect and chronic pain, and using spirituality in managing managing pain and healing pain. And here's what I'm going to be talking about today, just to give you a heads up. So I'm going to be sharing with you my chronic soul pain story. I'm going to be sharing with you the Golden Bells wisdom. I'm going to be sharing soul care tips, benefits of daily spiritual practice, and pain as a portal. Okay, so before I get into my chronic pain story, okay, I want to share that, whenever we have chronic pain, hi Ram, so nice to have you here live. Whenever we have chronic pain, right, whatever, if it's a chronic emotional pain or chronic physical pain, we tend to see it as a problem, as a nuisance, as like, why is it here, and we need to fix it, and so we are irritated, annoyed, and pissed off. And usually we tend to, at least I did, and I know many of the clients that I've worked with also. Hi Papa, nice to have you here live. And so we usually turn to something that we've been conditioned to turn to, at least I was, and that is medications, pills, and the whole that field. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that we forget. I hope this is showing clearly that we are not just the body. We're not just the mind, right? We are mind, body, and spirit. And to heal ourselves in a holistic way, right, to become whole again, we need to pay attention to the mind and the body and the spirit. And if you have physical pain, it's going to affect you mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And if you have spiritual pain, it's going to affect your body, it's going to affect your mind, it's going to affect your health, and creates all kinds of, so everything is interconnected. And what I find is that mostly when we have any symptom, we tend to look at one way to fix it. And so hi Alfana, hello from Singapore, so nice to have you. So I'm talking about, just to repeat, it's the topic is divine disconnect and chronic pain. And so I'm sharing with you right now, these are the things I'm going to be sharing with you, but I'm talking about my chronic soul pain. So 11 years ago, I had been diagnosed with a disease, costochondritis. I'm not going to go into the details of what that is, but because of it, I had chronic pain, physical chronic pain. And, after a lot of medications and treatments and all kinds of things, my pain wasn't going away. But here's what I'm here to tell you is that way before the chronic pain, the physical chronic pain began, I had this chronic soul ache in my heart, in my soul, and I felt, I felt stuck. I felt disconnected with my life, with my work, in my relationships. It was more like a robotic existence where I was going from day to day, doing the things I was supposed to do. But I felt like, my life was drifting aimlessly without any purpose. And I was, there was a lot of sadness and I didn't know what was going on, And so there was a lot of aching in my soul. I wrote a book, co-authored a book, and one of the things I say in there is that, I felt like something had vacuumed every joy and happiness, vacuumed it out of my body, and my soul felt dry. And that is really the description of what was going on in my life way before the chronic pain actually started. And I was working at a job where I felt I was doing a lot. I was working so hard, but I felt like it was all useless. It was all meaningless. It felt meaningless to me. It felt like nothing to me. I felt suffocated. I felt like I can't breathe anymore. And I didn't know what to do because, that job offered me, pay and something to do, but I felt, and it offered me flexibility. One thing good about the job was it offered me flexibility. I had flexi time and my kids were small, so I could do different things because of that. But I stayed stuck and I felt like I had been sucked dry. I don't know if you can relate to that feeling where you feel disconnected, you feel stuck, you feel cramped and trapped, whether it's in your relationship, whether it's in your work, whether it's in your, different areas in your life. And there was a lack of love for myself, in my relationships, in my work, in my life. It was a complete disconnect in every way. And the interesting thing is, as I was searching in my soul and I was blaming everyone, and I was, asking God, what the heck? What have I done? Why me? What have I done to deserve this? I'm trying to be a good mom. I'm trying to be a good, worker. I'm trying to be a good wife. And, why do I deserve this? Because eventually, because of the chronic pain, I had been put on bed rest indefinitely. And so my life was at a standstill, emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally. And I was so angry at God. And I realized, so this whole topic came about because my daughter just did, I'm sidetracking, but I thought it's interesting to tell you this, that just over the weekend, my daughter was part of the Bangkok International Choir Festival, right? And they were singing these beautiful, this beautiful chorus, which sounded like hymn singing to me. And I've done a lot of choir singing growing up in a boarding school that was a Protestant boarding school. And so when I was questioning God, when I was saying why this happened, and what's going on, and I used to be so happy, and my life was, before I just didn't have all this crap in my life, and my life was pretty happy. And as I was thinking of God and started talking to God more, because I was in miserable pain and nothing was working, that's what happens, right? That's when you say, oh, let me turn to God. And so this whole choir singing reminded me now to do this topic and share this with you. But also back then, 11 years ago, I thought of how close I was to God, and I was so amazed that I talk to God almost every night. I'm not kidding you. My parents were based in Bangkok, Thailand. I was in a boarding school in Nainital, India, a hilltop, a hill mountain, a mountain town, a town in a mountain. I'm all garbled. In the Himalayas. And so there was no dad, there was no mom, there was just me and friends and teachers and studying and, all of that. And so I had nobody to turn to at the time. And what was wonderful about that boarding school, where I grew up from 6.5 to 15.5 years of age, which is all of my childhood, is that, we had a routine. And in that routine, after we woke up and went for the exercise and showered and went to breakfast, we said grace. God bless this food and make us thankful. Amen. And then after we finished food, we said, for thy good grace, we thank the Lord. Amen. And we did this at every meal. Okay, after breakfast, we headed to the chapel. And that's where the second point, the Golden Bells wisdom, comes in. I have this wonderful hymn book from my boarding school days. I'm sorry, All Saints, I took a hymn book with me. And we sang hymns every single day of those 8 years of my life. We sang hymns as part of daily chapel, right? And I cannot tell you enough. This chapel time was actually the best time of the day for me. Why? Because I like singing. And I felt like mom's not here, dad's not here, nobody's here, but there's Jesus, okay? So I'm gonna just share with you some of the hymns. I'm not a Christian. I'm a born Hindu, studied in a Protestant Christian school, and I live in a Buddhist country. So I'm not, promoting Christianity. I'm just sharing with you a routine that I had back in my childhood days, that I felt so strong and I felt so, okay in my life. So here's one of the songs. What a friend we have in Jesus, all our sins and griefs to bear. What a privilege to carry everything to God in prayer. Oh, what peace we often forfeit. Oh, what needless pain we bear, all because we do not carry everything to God in prayer. Here's another interesting paragraph that I really liked. Do thy friends despise or forsake thee? Take it to the Lord in prayer. In his arms he'll take and shield thee. Thou wilt find your solace there. I really love this part, because every time I fought with friends or something happened, there was only friends, teachers, and that's it. And then the surroundings. And so obviously, we would have issues with friends. They're not talking to me. We've had a fight and all that. And I love this line, do thy friends despise, forsake thee? Take it to the Lord in prayer. In his arms he'll take and shield thee. Thou wilt find your solace there. You'd find your solace with God. So just take it all to God. And I'm going to share with you. I can go on. But here's another one. There's not a friend like the lowly Jesus. No, not one. No, not one. I could actually go into singing. I'm so excited about these things. No, none else could heal all our soul's diseases. No, not one. No, not one. Jesus knows all about our troubles. He will guide till the day is done. There's not a friend like the lowly Jesus. No, not one. No, not one. I can go on. When upon life's billows you are tempest tossed, when you are discouraged thinking all is lost, count your many blessings, name them one by one, and it will surprise you what the Lord has done. Abide with me. I can just go on and on. But these hymns, the Golden Bells wisdom, was something that move me through 8 years of life so peacefully, so joyfully, so happily. I was in such a great place at that time in my life. And here I was, sick, in disease, hurting physically, emotionally, couldn't be a regular mom to my kids, hating my job. And I thought, like, what the heck happened? And suddenly it hit me that I've had this divine disconnect with God ever since, I grew up. I became an adult, and I said, thank you, God, for, of course I didn't say it, but it was like, I'm an adult now, I'll take it from here. So I edged God out of my life, and yet there I was in chronic pain on bed rest. Nothing was working in my life, right? And I felt, this aching in my soul. But that's what, kind of guided me back to the wisdom of the golden bells. And one of the hymns is, ask, 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 and it shall be given you. Seek, 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 and you shall find. Knock, 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 the door will open unto you. Your heavenly Father is so kind. He knows what is best. He knows what's in body, soul, and mind. So ask, 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 knock, 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 seek, and you shall find. And, that's when aching in body and aching in mind and aching in spirit, I returned to God. And I'm not saying, maybe you're not a believer in God, and whatever it is that gives you that faith, that strength, I returned to that place. Because what had happened for me is, over the years, I grew up, I got a job, I got married, I had kids. I remembered God on festivals, or I don't know, I can't even remember. But I think it was like, if there's an Indian festival and you pray during Diwali, which is coming up, and you pray, and even then, it wasn't really truly this deep reverence and deeply feeling connection. It was more like festive, and you get to wear nice dresses and you do the ritual, so it was a very superficial connection. Even when I was doing those prayers and pujas, right? It wasn't a deep connection. And so, back I went to my asking God, ask, and I said, what do I need to do? Show me the way, guide me. And I used all those, I went back to the golden bells. I remembered all the songs, hymns that I sang. And lo and behold, in a month, a workshop shows up, right? And I discover EFT. For months and months and months, I was struggling. I was in pain. Nothing was working. And I go back to, to God in a deeper way, in a more genuine way. And I bumped into EFT. It was like a coincidence, but there was no coincidence. And I healed myself out of that chronic pain. And I'm not going to go into that story of how that all happened. But what I'm saying is that, when our soul is hurting, and when do you know the soul is hurting? So the spirit wants to feel free. The spirit wants to feel loved. The spirit wants to feel joy. The spirit wants to feel peace, right? And when the spirit is aching and you're not paying attention to it, it will impact your body and your mind and your chronic pain and your chronic illness and your chronic disease. So don't dismiss that aching, that soul ache that nobody can see on the surface. Everything looks fine. Your life looks fine. In fact, it looks wonderful, as mine did. I married my high school sweetheart. I had 2 beautiful kids. I have a wonderful family network here. I have so much support, and still I was aching so much. I felt breathless, literally, with that much ache. So when spirit is hurting and aching and you feel like your soul is like there's something deeply missing in your life, don't just ignore it. Don't just keep moving forward with your life. And even if you do, you'll come to a halt. You'll come to a halt because you're missing, you're forgetting something. And so what are some of the tips for soul care? Now, for me, I keep talking about soul and spirituality, and I'm sure everybody has a different meaning to it. I'm not talking about, religion, which is a practice, where there are core beliefs, and it's a system, it's an organized way of working. And of course, religion can also help, right? So if you're someone who's really religious and who, constantly chants or does bhakti, or whatever your thing is, please keep doing that if it's making you feel strong. For me, I'm talking about spirituality, and one of the definitions that I resonated with is the quality of being connected with the human soul and the human spirit, and just a sense of connection to something bigger, something more powerful than ourselves. Okay. And I can say God, but maybe you don't resonate with that word. Maybe you resonate with spirit. Maybe you resonate with source. Maybe you resonate with your creator. And whatever it is that you have faith in, that you feel that just, I feel like spirituality is the glue that kind of, ties all aspects of our lives, the mind, the physical, the social, everything together. So whatever that glue is for you, that is what I'm talking about, and that is what you want to focus on. So sharing tips for soul care, right? It could be meditation. There are studies that have found meditation to heal so many illnesses. I mean, just Google and you'll find endless proof of meditation and health and wellness and brain, and how it affects the feel-good area of your brain. Okay. And so knowing that your mind, body, spirit, you're a triune being, it's definitely going to impact your overall well-being. Nature, there's been so many studies that have done that patients that were in rooms that they saw greenery healed faster than people who were just in a room that didn't have these nature views. And nature is divine, nature is still, there's a still pure beauty about nature that is just naturally soothing, right? So take care of your spirit. And I don't know what resonates with you. Maybe it's quiet time, maybe it's walking in nature, going to nature. That's why everybody likes to go to mountains and beaches and connect with nature. Journaling, maybe you don't have nature around you, maybe you don't have, you don't like meditation. Journaling is such a wonderful way to empty out that aching in your soul and just empty out all the heavy feelings, and you feel freer and lighter, and your spirit feels like it's offloaded and it feels lighthearted. So journaling might be a good way for you. I don't know. Feel good activities. What makes you feel good? Maybe exercise makes you feel good. Maybe dance makes you feel good. Maybe singing makes you feel good. Maybe painting, art, pottery, sculpting, kickboxing. I don't know. So engage more on those, doing more of what feels good for you, for your spirit, for your mind. Inspirational talks, movies, etc. Every single day I meditate for 20 minutes or more. I don't keep a track now. Every day I listen to something inspirational. It could be Abraham Hicks, it could be Eckhart Tolle. I love Muji. So I'm always constantly listening to something at the start of the day, because it's kind of sets the foundation for the day, and the whole day is, you experience so much more peace and lightness and calmness as you move forward. So listening to inspirational talks, movies, If you don't have time in the morning, my current mentor, Alex Mendosian, talks about what do you do during dead time. The dead time is driving time, going to pick up your schools and driving, or cleaning the house. That dead time, you can use that time and listen to a podcast, right? Or inspirational talks, and doing whatever you're doing, and that's great. Count your blessings. I just said, when the hymn, that's where it comes from. Count your many blessings, name them one by one, count your many blessings, see what God has done. It's natural for us when we're suffering and we have aches and pains to be focused on that one area that's not going right. And all the wonderful things that God has done in our lives, we just forget about that. And we are focused on this one area, which is not going well. So what if you can go back and count the blessings and see what God has done, and it will surprise you what the Lord has done for you already. So that might be a good way for taking care of your soul. Deep breathing, connecting with your breath is another way to take care of your soul. We are in such a fast-paced world, and we have very shallow breathing, right? And I'm talking so fast, I can feel that, if I just slow down a bit and just, took time to be aware of my breathing and just slow that breathing down and breathe more deeply, you feel more connected with yourself, with your mind, with your heart, with your spirit. Mantra chanting, there are so many mantras which have beautiful powers that we do not understand, but just chanting them over and over again. In the Indian spirituality, there are so many chants, so many mantras that you can recite, and they definitely have powers that we don't understand, but they bring so much peace and joy and happiness and comfort and solace in our hearts and minds. So here are some tips for your soul care. Maybe you have others. I just wanted to share some of them with you, because having a spiritual practice, whether it's through meditation and all the things that I shared, it can bring a greater sense of faith and trust and a reassurance that there is a higher power out there that is taking care of us. And so we are not in this alone, and we are not all by ourselves, because when you have a weak spiritual practice, there is a tendency to, there is a tendency to feel alone and overwhelmed and helpless, and like I can't do this, and I can't go on any longer, and there's only me, and there's nobody here to support me, and you feel disconnected, and you will feel disheartened, and you feel discouraged and depressed, right? So when you have like me, I didn't really have any spiritual practice back 11 years ago, or even 15 years ago, right? And that's what it feels, overwhelming, and you feel lost and confused and trapped and constricted and fearful, and all of those things, which have a huge impact on your mind, on your body. Okay, and so having a strong spiritual practice, here's it. You feel reassured, you feel a shift in your mood and your attitude, you feel stronger, you have more resilience, you have more strength to move through that tough phase, to move through that phase of pain and ache, right? I did a Facebook Live, said, when the going gets tough, the tough gets silent. And it's all about, coming back to yourself and feeling that inner strength. And you can't have access to it if it's not part of your daily practice. And also, understanding the pain better, right? The pain is not there. It's not that I have this pain and that's why I have all this problem in my life. It's that there is an inner pain that you've been neglecting, and that's why the pain that you have is kind of like a message. It's like a knock. It's like a reminder that, hey, some part of your life is off. There's something off inside of you. So take a look. And that's what pain and disease is really all about. It's a state of dis-ease within. So you have a better understanding of pain if you have a spiritual practice. Okay, you find there's a greater meaning in your life. There's a bigger purpose. You don't feel like you're just drifting aimlessly, and that there is a guide behind all of your experiences, and there's a reason for all your experiences. And of course, having this mind, this spiritual practice has a positive influence on your mind and your body, right? And it is going to help you better manage your chronic pain, your chronic illness, your relationship pain, your whatever work pain, and whatever it is that you've got going. So, so those were the benefits of daily practice. And eventually, pain is a portal. I believe that pain is a portal to reconnecting with the divine, to rediscovering your own true nature. It's a portal to merging with God, right? And that's just my belief, that it's not what you think it is. It's a reminder that things have gone off track. It's a reminder to come back to yourself and to connect with the divine, and to remember that you are a co-creator. Not, you're not just creating this life on your own. You're not on your own. You are a co-creator. And once you, Abraham Hicks talks about being a blended being. So there is this ego self that is you, and there is the unchanging awareness that is also you. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, talks about that there is two essential qualities to you. There is the dynamic you and the stillness, dynamism and stillness. And it's all talking about this blended being that you are. And pain is a way that brings you back to that place. It's a portal. It's an opening, and you go through this journey, and it helps you walk through that pain door and come back to yourself, to your spirit, and reconnect with the divine instead of feeling disconnect with the divine. So, I hope that resonated with you. I hope you got something out of this sharing, and this has been my journey. It's also been the journey of hundreds of books I've read, and people on a path to spirituality. They've all had to walk through these pain doors and come back to their spiritual practices to appreciate life and to appreciate all the things that we have in our lives. And so it's been another way to heal your chronic pain, right? Because the pain is just a reminder. And mostly when we think of pain and chronic pain, we just think of the body, right? And we think, oh, how has this upset me? And it's so we're looking at it on a one-sided angle. And so I was wanting to remind everyone that spirit is part of who you are. And if you ignore that spiritual component to your health and your wellness and exclude spirit out of your life, there's going to be pain and there's going to be suffering. So don't forget, don't dismiss the spirit that you are a spiritual being in a physical body, so don't dismiss it. And if you have chronic pain, what if you can now take a look at where are you feeling disconnected with the divine, with the higher power, and what can you do today to begin this reconnection, connecting with the divine and healing or managing your chronic pain better. So I hope that was helpful. If you are looking to, get support and guidance from me specifically, through the pain journey, I have a private membership group. I've put the link above. Feel free to check it out. And if you do decide to join, I'll see you in that group, in which I go live almost every day. And if not, I'll see you here again next week with another topic. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you in my next Facebook Live. Bye, guys.